1330 hours. October 21, 1942. The Central Pacific. Altitude 1,000 feet, dropping. The sound of a Boeing B-17 is usually a roar. It is a symphony of violence. 4 Wright Cyclone engines, 9 cylinders each, screaming in unison. It is the sound of American industrial might. It is the sound of safety. But inside the fuselage of serial number 403089, there is no roar. There is only a cough, then a sputter, then the terrifying, hollow whistle of the wind. The number 1 engine is dead. The propeller windmills lazily. Then it stops. It freezes against the slipstream. A dead iron cross against the blue sky. Captain William Cherry, the pilot, fights the yoke. His hands are slick with sweat. He looks at the gauge. Empty. He looks at number 2. Fumes. He looks at number 3. Dry. This is not a combat mission. There are no zeros on their tail. There is no flak bursting black clouds around the wings. The sky is clear. The sun is bright. It is a beautiful day to die. Sitting in the radio compartment, strapped into a jump seat, is a man in a civilian suit. He is 52 years old. He wears a fedora. He looks like a banker or a grandfather. But look at the eyes. They are hard. They are cold. They have seen things that break lesser men. This is Captain Edward Vernon Rickenbacker. Eddie, the ace of aces. In 1918, he owned the skies over France. 26 confirmed kills, the Medal of Honor. He flew the SPAD-13, a canvas kite with a machine gun. He fought the Red Baron's flying circus. He survived the Great War when the life expectancy of a pilot was measured in weeks. He survived a racing crash that should have taken his head off. He survived an airliner crash near Atlanta just last year that left him soaking in gasoline and blood with a shattered hip and a broken back. He is the unkillable man. But today, the Pacific Ocean does not care about his resume. The Pacific Ocean does not care about medals. It is deep, it is wide, and it is hungry. The B-17D is a heavy beast. It was built for altitude. It was built to drop bombs on Berlin or Tokyo. It was not built to float. This specific airframe is an older model. The D variant. It lacks the massive dorsal fin of the later models. It lacks the tail gunner position. It is sleek. It is fast. But without fuel, it is just a 20-ton brick of aluminum and steel. To understand why America's greatest hero is falling out of the sky, you have to look at the navigation table. They are lost. Hopelessly, terrifically lost. The mission was top secret. Rickenbacker was carrying a verbal message, a message from Secretary of War Henry Stimson. The recipient, General Douglas MacArthur. The location, New Guinea. But first, they had to refuel. The target was Canton Island, a tiny speck of coral in 1 million square miles of water. A refueling stop, a needle in a haystack. They missed it. It wasn't enemy action, it was math. A broken octant, a celestial navigation shot that was off by a degree, a tailwind that was stronger than the weathermen predicted. They overshot the island. They flew past it at 200 miles per hour. They have been flying in a box search pattern for hours, turning left, turning right, looking for a strip of white sand, looking for a radio tower. There is nothing. Only the blue. The endless, hateful blue. Captain Cherry shouts back to the crew, "Prepare for ditching!" The words hit the men like a physical blow. Ditching. It sounds controlled. It sounds technical. It is a lie. Ditching a B-17 is a violent car crash at 90 miles per hour. If you catch a wave wrong, the plane cartwheels, the wings rip off, the fuselage snaps in half. You drown in the wreckage before you can unbuckle your belt. If you land too fast, the water acts like concrete. If you land too slow, you stall and drop like a stone. Rickenbacker tightens his belt. He grabs a Mae West life vest. He looks at the young men around him. Sergeant Alex Kazmarchik. The kid is barely out of high school. He is recovering from an appendectomy. He looks green. He looks terrified. Private John Bartek, the engineer. He's clutching a Bible. They are looking at Rickenbacker. They are looking for reassurance. They want the legend to tell them it will be okay. Rickenbacker says nothing. He knows the odds. He knows the physics. He grabs a rope. He braces his feet. The number 2 engine coughs. Silence. The number 3 engine winds down. Silence. Now it is just the wind, the rushing air over the aluminum skin, the sound of gravity taking hold. The altimeter unwinds. 800 feet, 500 feet, 300 feet. Captain Cherry fights the controls. The B-17 is heavy. Without power, the nose wants to drop. He has to hold it up. He has to flare just above the waves. He has to land in the trough, between the swells. The Pacific swells are 6 feet high today. They are rolling mountains of energy. If he hits the face of a wave, they die. If he drops a wing, they die. Brace! The shout tears through the fuselage. Rickenbacker buries his head in his arms. He tenses every muscle. He waits for the hammer. He thinks of the message for MacArthur. Gone. He thinks of his wife, Adelaide. Gone. He thinks of the 4 oranges he saw in the map case. 4 oranges. That is the only food they have. 8 men, 4 oranges, and the ocean. The belly of the B-17 kisses the water. For a microsecond, it is smooth, a skip, a slide. Then, the friction takes over. The water grabs the aluminum skin. It rips at the rivets. The sound is deafening, like a train derailing inside a tunnel. Screech! Crunch! The plane decelerates from 90 to 0 in 3 seconds. Bodies are thrown forward. Equipment flies like shrapnel. The radio set tears loose. The toolkit becomes a shotgun blast of wrenches and hammers. The nose digs in. A wall of green water smashes over the cockpit glass. Darkness. Then, motion stops. The silence returns, but it is different now. It is the silence of the grave. And then, a new sound. Hissing. Bubbling. Water. The Pacific is coming inside. Rickenbacker shakes his head. He is alive. He checks his limbs, still attached. He looks at the others. Blood on foreheads, groans of pain. But they are moving. Get out, Rickenbacker roars. Get the rafts. Move! This is the critical moment. The B-17D has no watertight bulkheads. It is a sieve. It will float for maybe 2 minutes, maybe 3. If they are trapped inside when it goes down, they go down with it. 2,000 fathoms deep. They scramble. The water is already at their ankles. It is warm. It is salty. It smells of aviation fuel and fear. They kick open the hatches. The blinding tropical sun floods in. The transition is jarring. From the dark, screaming metal tube to the bright, indifferent paradise of the Pacific. They throw the yellow rubber bundles out the hatch, the life rafts. 3 of them. 2 large 5-man rafts, 1 small 2-man raft. They inflate with a hiss, CO2 cartridges firing. Yellow rubber blossoming on the blue water. The men jump. They splash into the sea. Rickenbacker is the last one out. He steps onto the wing. The water is rising fast. The engines are already underwater. The tail is lifting into the air. He steps into the raft. He is wet. He is bruised. He looks back at the plane, the flying fortress. It groans, a final metallic sigh. And then it slips away. The nose dips. The tail rises vertical like a tombstone. And then it slides under. Bubbles, oil slick, debris. And then, nothing. Just the ocean. 360 degrees of horizon. 8 men. 3 rafts. 4 oranges. No radio, no water, no flares. The clock has stopped ticking on the dashboard, but a new clock has started. The biological clock. Dehydration. Starvation. Exposure. Rickenbacker looks at the horizon. He squints against the glare. He knows the truth. The Navy thinks they are dead. The Army thinks they are dead. The search parties will look for a day, maybe 2. Then they will write the telegrams. We regret to inform you. Rickenbacker looks at the men. They are already starting to bicker. They are shocked. They are scared. Tie the rafts together, he commands. His voice is gravel. It is the voice of a man who has died before. Nobody dies today. But as the sun begins to set, turning the water into a sheet of black glass, Rickenbacker feels a chill that has nothing to do with the temperature. He looks down into the water. Below the rafts, deep in the blue gloom, shadows are moving. Long, gray shapes. Dorsal fins. The crash was the easy part. The nightmare has just begun. The first night falls like a shroud. The temperature drops. The men are soaked. They shiver. But the cold is not the enemy yet. The enemy is the realization. They are alone. Totally, completely alone. And somewhere in the darkness, a shark bumps the bottom of the rubber raft. Testing. Tasting. Waiting. Dawn breaks. It is not beautiful. It is an assault. The sun rises out of the Pacific like a welding torch. It burns away the cool mercy of the night. It turns the sky into a sheet of white-hot steel. For the 8 men floating in the middle of nowhere, the sunrise marks the beginning of the torture. They take stock of their world. It is a small world. 3 yellow rubber donuts. The 2 larger rafts are 9 feet long, 5 feet wide. The smaller raft is barely a bathtub. 8 grown men, cramped, tangled, legs over legs, arms over faces. There is no room to stretch. There is no room to turn. If one man moves, everyone moves. If one man shifts his weight, the raft dips. Water slops over the side. Salt water. It gets into everything. It soaks their flight suits. It soaks their boots. It begins to dry on their skin. Crystals of salt. They act like sandpaper, rubbing, grinding. In the armpits, in the groin, on the neck. Within hours, the skin is raw. Within a day, the salt source began. Open ulcers, red, weeping, burning with every splash of the ocean. Rickenbacker sits in the lead raft. He pulls the rope that connects them. He brings the little flotilla together. Inventory, he barks. It is a short list. It is a terrifying list. They have a flare gun, but the flares are wet. They are duds. They have 2 hand pumps to keep the rafts inflated. They have a few fishing lines with hooks, but no bait. They have pocket knives, and they have food. Rickenbacker holds it up. 4 oranges. Not 4 crates, not 4 bags. 4 single oranges. That is the entire caloric inventory for 8 men, for an indefinite amount of time. There is no fresh water. The water tanks on the B-17 were destroyed in the crash. They have nothing to drink. The average human can survive 3 days without water in a temperate climate. Here, on the equator, under the magnifying glass of the sun, you lose a liter of sweat an hour. The clock is ticking faster here. The dehydration starts immediately. The mouth goes dry. The saliva turns to glue. The tongue swells. It feels like a piece of felt in your mouth. Then the headache starts, a dull throb behind the eyes. Then the cramps. Rickenbacker looks at the oranges. He looks at the men. He sees the fear in their eyes. He sees the panic rising. We ration, Rickenbacker says. He takes command. He is not a Democrat. He is a dictator. 1/8 of an orange every 2 days. The men stare at him. 1/8, a single slice? Every 48 hours. It is nothing. It is a tease. But Rickenbacker knows something they don't. He knows that hope is a physical thing. If they eat everything today, they will despair tomorrow. If he stretches it out, he stretches their minds. He is managing their sanity, not just their stomachs. Day 3. The sun is the enemy. It blisters their faces. Their lips crack and bleed. Their noses peel. They have no hats. They use their underwear. They wrap their white cotton boxers around their heads like turbans. They look like a ragged, desperate pirate crew. But the real enemy is below. The sharks. They are not the monsters of the movies. They are worse. They are patient. They are 10-foot dusky sharks. They don't attack immediately. They investigate. They rub against the bottom of the rafts. The men can feel it. Through the thin layer of rubber canvas, they feel the rough, sandpaper skin of the sharks sliding past their buttocks. It is a terrifying intimacy. One bite. One tear in the rubber. The raft deflates. The men go into the water. The frenzy begins. Rickenbacker watches the fins. He counts them. 3, 4, sometimes 5. They circle, clockwise, always clockwise, waiting for a mistake. The mistake comes from the youngest, Sergeant Alex Kaczmarczyk. He is 22. He is a kid. He is already weak from his surgery. The dehydration is hitting him harder than the others. His eyes are glassy. He is mumbling. "Water," he whispers, "just a sip." He looks at the ocean. It looks so cool, so clear, so refreshing. It is the ultimate poison. "Don't do it, Alex," Rickenbacker warns. His voice is a rasp. "It will kill you. It will shut down your kidneys. It will make you crazy." But in the middle of the night, when the others are dozing, the demon takes over. Kaczmarczyk dips his hand into the sea. He cups the water. He drinks. Once, twice. The salt hits his system like a bomb. Instead of hydrating him, it draws the remaining moisture out of his cells. Within an hour, the delirium sets in. By dawn on day 6, the oranges are gone. The last peel has been chewed. The last drop of citric acid has been swallowed. Now, there is nothing. The hunger is a sharp pain, a gnawing rat in the stomach. But the thirst is the killer. The men stop sweating. Their bodies have no moisture left to give. Their skin turns gray. It loses its elasticity. If you pinch it, it stays pinched, like clay. They stop talking. Talking wastes energy. Talking dries the throat. They just stare. They stare at the horizon. They stare at the clouds. "Rain," someone croaks. They see squalls in the distance, dark gray curtains of rain falling into the sea. 3 miles away, 5 miles away. They pray, they beg. "Come here, please, come here." But the wind pushes the clouds away. The rain falls on the empty ocean. It is a psychological torture devised by the devil himself. To see the water, to smell the rain, and to get nothing. Rickenbacker watches his crew. He sees the cracks forming. Captain Cherry, the pilot, is withdrawn. Lieutenant Whitaker is angry. Private Bartek reads his Bible, but his hands are shaking. They are starting to look at each other differently, not as comrades, but as competition for the air. Rickenbacker knows this look. He saw it in the trenches in 1917. It is the look of men who have given up. He feels the anger rising in his own chest. He decides to use it. He decides to become the villain. If they hate him, they will fight him. And if they fight him, they will stay awake. And if they stay awake, they stay alive. "Sit up," Rickenbacker yells. He kicks the man next to him. "Don't you die on me. You're soft. You're a bunch of quitters." He insults them. He mocks them. He attacks their manhood. "My mother has more guts than you." The men glare at him. Their eyes burn with hatred. Good, Rickenbacker thinks. Hate me. Hate keeps the blood pumping. Hate is fuel. But hate cannot stop physiology. Day 8. Kaczmarczyk is fading. The seawater has done its work. He is hallucinating. He thinks he is back home in Connecticut. He is talking to his mother. He is asking for a soda. "Alex," Rickenbacker says softly. But the boy doesn't hear him. His breathing is shallow, rattling. The sharks seem to know. They come closer. They bump the raft harder. Thump, thump. They can smell the weakness. They can smell the death chemicals releasing from his pores. The sun goes down on the 8th day. The rafts drift in the black void. Suddenly, a wind picks up. The waves grow larger. The rafts toss violently. "Storm," Cherry yells. It is a squall. But is it a blessing or is it an execution? The waves are 10 feet high. They threaten to flip the rafts. If they flip in the dark with the sharks waiting, it is over. But with the wind comes something else. A drop. Then another. Rain. Cold, sweet, life-giving rain. The men turn their faces to the sky. They open their mouths like baby birds. But the wind is too strong. The waves are too high. They are fighting to keep the rafts upright. They are bailing out the salt water that is swamping them. They are surrounded by fresh water falling from the sky, but they are too busy drowning to catch it. It is the ultimate cruelty. They have to choose: drink and capsize, or bail and stay thirsty. Rickenbacker makes the choice. "Bail," he screams. "Bail or we die." They bail. They use their hats, their shoes, their hands. They fight the ocean for hours, soaked, freezing, exhausted. When the storm passes, the sun rises again. The rain is gone. The water in the bottom of the raft is a mix of rain and sea. It is brackish, undrinkable. They missed it. They survived the storm, but they lost the prize. The morale snaps. Bartek throws his Bible down. Whitaker puts his head in his hands and weeps dry, tearless sobs. Rickenbacker looks at Kaczmarczyk. The boy is silent now. His chest is barely moving. The ticking clock is deafening. They need a miracle. Not a rescue plane. That is a fantasy. They need food. They need water. And they need it now. Because the sharks are no longer just bumping. One of the fins cuts the water, sharp and fast. It charges the raft. The rubber bows inward as the nose of the shark hits the side. The men scream. The shark thrashes. The tail slaps the water, soaking them. It turns around for another pass. It knows. It knows they are dying. And it is tired of waiting. Day 13. The number is unlucky. For the men on the rafts, luck is a memory. Luck is something that happens to other people. The situation has shifted from desperate to terminal. Sergeant Alex Kaczmarczyk is dead. He died in the night, quietly. One moment he was breathing the shallow, rattling breath of the dying. The next, he was just an object. A heavy, silent weight in the bottom of the rubber boat. Rickenbacker looks at the body. He looks at the boy's face. It is a skull wrapped in parchment. The eyes are sunken craters. The lips are pulled back from the teeth. It is the face of starvation. It is the face of the future for all of them. They have to move him. They can't keep the body. The tropical sun will turn it into a biological hazard within hours. "We have to put him over," Rickenbacker says. The men protest, weakly. "He's a Christian," Bartek whispers. "He needs a burial." "He gets a burial," Rickenbacker snaps, "at sea." They strip the body. Not out of disrespect, out of necessity. They take his wallet, his dog tags, his clothes. The clothes are currency. The clothes are rags to catch rain. The clothes are bandages. They lift the body. It is terrifyingly light, like lifting a bundle of sticks. They slide him over the rubber tube. Splash. The Pacific takes him. He sinks slowly, a white shape fading into the deep blue. And then the shapes arrive. The sharks. They do not wait for the body to hit the bottom. The water churns. The fins slash the surface. The men look away. They cover their ears. but they can hear it. The thrashing, the snapping. Rickenbacker does not look away. He watches. He forces himself to watch. This is the price of failure. This is the penalty for giving up. That is not going to be me, he whispers, and it is not going to be you. But words are cheap. Calories are real. They haven't eaten in 7 days. The hunger has passed the pain stage. It is now in the lethargic stage. The body is eating itself. Autophagy. The muscles atrophy. The heart weakens. The brain begins to shut down non-essential functions. Logic fades. Emotion fades. All that is left is the lizard brain, the stem. Eat, drink, sleep. But there is no food. There is no water. There is no sleep. Friday afternoon. The heat is a physical weight, 100 degrees Fahrenheit. The ocean is flat, oily. Private Bartek pulls out his Bible. It is swollen with humidity. The pages are sticking together. He begins to read. He reads from Matthew. Therefore take no thought, saying, what shall we eat? Or what shall we drink? Or wherewithal shall we be clothed? The men listen. Usually, Rickenbacker hates this. He hates the passivity. He hates waiting for God to do the work. But today, he listens. He bows his head. He pulls his hat down over his eyes, a gray fedora, stained with sweat, crushed by the ordeal. Lord, Bartek prays, we are lost. We are hungry. Send us a sign. The prayer ends. The silence returns. The only sound is the slap of water against the rubber. Rickenbacker sits motionless. He is conserving energy. He is meditating on the engine noise of a SPAD 13. He is trying to remember the smell of gasoline. Then, a weight. A light, sudden pressure. On top of his head. On the crown of his fedora. Rickenbacker freezes. He does not breathe. He does not blink. He opens his eyes, staring straight ahead at the chest of the man opposite him. The man opposite him is Lieutenant James Whittaker. Whittaker's eyes go wide. His jaw drops. He is looking at Rickenbacker's head. He starts to speak. Rickenbacker hisses, a sharp, violent sound. Shh. Rickenbacker feels the weight shift. Talons, small, sharp claws gripping the felt of his hat. It is a bird. In the middle of the Pacific Ocean, hundreds of miles from the nearest rock, a bird has decided to land. And of all the places in the vast empty ocean, the millions of square miles of water, the miles of floating debris, it has chosen the head of Eddie Rickenbacker. The statistical probability is 0. It is impossible. It is a glitch in the matrix of reality. Or it is the answer. Rickenbacker counts 1, 2, 3. He visualizes his hand. He visualizes the muscle firing, the tendon contracting, the arc of the movement. He was a race car driver. He was a fighter pilot. His reaction time was tested in the fires of the Western Front. But he is old now. He is starving. His hands are shaking. If he misses, the bird flies. If the bird flies, they die. It is that simple. This is not a bird. This is life. This is a battery pack of protein dropped from heaven. He feels the bird settle. It is preening. It is comfortable. Now. Rickenbacker's right hand snaps up. It is a blur, a spasm of desperate violence. His fingers close, not on air, on feathers. Warm, soft, living feathers. The bird squawks. It thrashes. It pecks at his hand. But Rickenbacker's grip is iron. It is the grip of a man who is holding on to his soul. He pulls the bird down. I got it, he roars. The raft erupts. The men are screaming. They are crying. They are reaching out with clawed hands. Give it to me. Give it to me. They are animals now. The veneer of civilization is gone. Rickenbacker holds the bird by the neck. He twists. Crack! The bird goes limp. He looks at the prize, a swallow-tailed tern. Not big, maybe 4 ounces of meat. It is not a feast. It is a sacrament. He tears the bird open. The smell of blood fills the raft. To a civilized man, it would be revolting. To these men, it is the smell of perfume. It is the smell of steak. He divides the meat equally. They eat it raw, bones, skin, organs. They chew the feathers to get the blood. It is grotesque. It is beautiful. But Rickenbacker stops them. The intestines, he commands, save the intestines. Why? A soldier asks, mouthful of feathers. Bait, Rickenbacker says. He takes the slimy entrails. He threads them onto a rusty hook. He drops the line into the water. The ocean is full of fish. They have seen them, mackerel, bonito. But the fish wouldn't bite on bare hooks. They needed organic matter. They needed the scent of death. Rickenbacker watches the line. He waits. Minutes pass. The sun beats down. The taste of the bird fades, leaving the hunger even sharper. Was that it? Was the miracle just a snack? Tug. The line goes taut. Rickenbacker jerks his hand back. The line vibrates. It cuts into his finger. Fish on! He pulls, hand over hand. A flash of silver in the blue water. A mackerel, a small one, maybe a pound. He yanks it over the side. It flops on the rubber floor, vibrating with energy. Rickenbacker grabs it. He smashes its head against the oarlock. He cuts it open. More bait, he says. Keep fishing. The cycle begins. The bird caught the fish. The fish catches another fish. Within an hour, they have caught 2 more. They eat. For the first time in 2 weeks, their stomachs have something to work on. The protein hits their bloodstreams. The fog lifts slightly. The despair retreats. But they are still dying of thirst. The protein requires water to digest. Eating without drinking is dangerous. They need water. And as if the script was written by a dramatist, the sky darkens again. Night falls. The wind shifts. The temperature drops. A squall line approaches. This time, they are not panic-stricken amateurs. They are veterans. Get the shirts, Rickenbacker orders. Get the tarps. They spread their clothes. They create catchments with the rubber folds of the raft. The rain hits. It is a deluge. It washes the salt from their sores. It fills the hollows of the raft. They drink. They don't sip. They gorge. They fill their bellies until they vomit, and then they drink more. They fill the bailing buckets. They fill the empty flare cases. They store water. For the first time since the crash, the balance of power has shifted. The Pacific tried to kill them with silence. Then it tried to kill them with sharks. Then it tried to kill them with the sun. But today, they fought back. They stole life from the air and water from the sky. Rickenbacker leans back against the rubber rim. He chews on a piece of raw mackerel. He looks at the moon breaking through the clouds. He feels a strange sensation in his chest. It isn't happiness. It isn't relief. It is power. He looks at the men. They are sleeping. Actually sleeping. The miracle wasn't the bird. The miracle was the timing. It came exactly when the clock was about to strike midnight. But Rickenbacker knows the truth about miracles. They don't last. The bird is gone. The fish are eaten. The water will run out. They are still 1,000 miles from nowhere. And the ocean is angry now. It gave them a reprieve, but it is preparing a counterattack. He looks at his hands. They are covered in fish scales and dried blood. They are the hands of a predator. We are not victims, he whispers to the dark ocean. We are the sharks now. But as the adrenaline fades, a new problem emerges. The saltwater sores are getting worse. The constant immersion in the brine is rotting their skin. And Rickenbacker feels a heat in his leg. Not the sun. Infection. The bacteria of the sea are colonizing his wounds. He survived the crash. He survived the hunger. But now he is rotting from the outside in. And the sharks, they can smell the rot. They are coming back, and this time they are bringing friends. Day 20. The miracle of the bird has faded. The energy from the mackerel is gone. The water they caught in the squall is turning foul in the rubber bladders. They are back in the furnace. But now they are different men. They are no longer soldiers. They are skeletons wrapped in parchment skin. Their eyes are huge, bulging from sockets that have retreated deep into their skulls. Their gums are receding. Their teeth look like tombstones. They are drifting ghosts. Rickenbacker is losing his grip. Not on his mind is a fortress, but on his body. He has lost 50 pounds. His suit hangs off him like a clown costume. The saltwater ulcers on his legs are the size of silver dollars. They are festering. Every wave that splashes into the raft sends a jolt of liquid fire into the wounds. He does not scream, he does not groan. He grinds his teeth until they chip. He is the leader. He cannot show weakness. If he breaks, they all break. The psychological warfare has shifted. In the beginning, they were united by fear. Now they are divided by madness. Private Bartek is gone. Not dead, but gone. He stares at the sun. He mumbles verses that don't exist. He tries to jump over the side to catch the bus. Rickenbacker has to grab him. "Sit down, John. There is no bus." Bartek looks at him with the innocence of a child. "But it's right there, Eddie. The number 5. It goes to Main Street." Rickenbacker ties a rope around Bartek's waist. He ties the other end to his own wrist. He is the anchor. He is the jailer. The pilot, Captain Cherry, is different. He is angry. He is plotting. He looks at the small raft, the 2-man raft. It is tied to the main flotilla. "We should split up," Cherry whispers. Rickenbacker glares at him. "We stay together. Together we are a target. Apart we are specks." "We're drifting in circles," Cherry argues. His voice is a dry croak. "The current is taking us nowhere. If I take the small raft, I can paddle. I can find help." "You'll die alone," Rickenbacker says. "Better than dying with you," Cherry spits. The mutiny is quiet. It is slow, but it is inevitable. The men are tired of Rickenbacker's voice. They are tired of his insults. They are tired of his will to live. They just want to sleep. They want to let go. Dying is easy. Living is hard work. Rickenbacker knows he is losing them. He needs a new strategy. He stops shouting. He starts bargaining. "One more day," he says. "Give me one more day. If we don't see a plane by sunset tomorrow, I won't stop you." It is a lie. He will never stop them. He will drag them kicking and screaming back to life. But the lie gives them a target, a finish line. They nod. One more day. But the ocean has a vote. That night, the wind dies. The sea becomes a mirror. The stars reflect perfectly on the surface. It is like floating in space. And then, the sharks return. Not to hunt, to torment. They bump the rafts, rhythmically. Thump, thump. They are rubbing the barnacles off their backs against the rubber. Or maybe they are tasting the rot. Rickenbacker feels the rough skin through the floor. It is vibrating against his spine. He takes the oar. He strikes the water. "Get away! Get away!" The splash echoes in the silence. The shark turns. A dorsal fin cuts the starlight. It swims under the raft. It lifts the floor. The men are tossed like dice. Panic. "They're going to tip us," Whitaker screams. "Hold on," Rickenbacker yells. He stabs the water with the oar. He hits something solid. The shark thrashes. The water boils. Then silence. They wait. 10 minutes. 20 minutes. The shark is gone. But the fear remains. They cannot sleep. They sit back to back, watching the black water, waiting for the monsters to rise. Day 21. The one more day has passed. No plane. Cherry makes his move. He unties the small raft. "I'm going," he says. Rickenbacker looks at him. He is too weak to fight. "Bill," he says, "don't." "I have to try, Eddie." Cherry pushes off. He takes the oars. He rows away from the group. He becomes a small yellow dot on the blue horizon. Then another raft separates. Whitaker and DeAngelis take the second large raft. "We're going to try to catch the wind," Whitaker says. Rickenbacker is left in the lead raft with Bartek and Colonel Adamson. Adamson is in bad shape. He hasn't moved in 2 days. The flotilla is broken. The unity is gone. Rickenbacker watches them go. He feels a crushing sense of failure. He kept them alive for 3 weeks. He bullied them, he fed them, he saved them. And now, at the end, they leave him. He is alone with the dying. He looks at Bartek. The boy is unconscious. He looks at Adamson. The colonel is staring at the sky, mouth open. "Just us now," Rickenbacker whispers. He feels the loneliness settle in. It is heavier than the hunger. He thinks about his life, the racing cars, the fighter planes, the fame, the money. None of it matters. Here, he is just meat. He closes his eyes. He prepares to die. Not by suicide, but by attrition. He will just stop. But the universe loves irony. Just as Rickenbacker closes his eyes, he hears it. A sound. Not the wind, not the waves. A drone. A low, steady hum. He opens his eyes. He scans the horizon. Nothing. Am I hallucinating? Is this the end? The sound gets louder. It is an engine. A radial engine. He forces himself up. He stands on the wobbling raft. His legs are trembling. He scans the sky. There, a black speck. Low. 5 miles out. It is a plane. A Kingfisher. A Navy float plane. Rickenbacker screams, "Hey, here, over here!" His voice is a whisper. The plane is miles away. He grabs his shirt. He waves it. "Look at me! Look down!" The plane flies on. It is flying a search grid. It is turning away. "No!" Rickenbacker yells. "Don't you turn! Don't you dare turn!" He falls to his knees. He grabs the flare gun, the useless flare gun. He loads a shell. He prays, "Work, just this once, work!" He pulls the trigger. Click. Dud. He throws the shell into the sea. He loads another. "Please!" He pulls the trigger. Click. Dud. The plane is fading. The sound is getting quieter. He has 1 shell left. 1. He loads it. His hands are shaking so badly he almost drops it. He points it at the sky. He doesn't pray this time. He demands, "Fire!" Bang! A red streak shoots up. It arcs into the blue sky. It burns bright and hot. A red star in the daylight. Rickenbacker watches the plane. Did he see it? The plane keeps flying away. Rickenbacker collapses. It's over. He missed it. He puts his head on his knees. He starts to weep. And then the sound changes. The pitch of the engine shifts. It gets louder. He looks up. The plane is banking. It is turning. It is coming back. The pilot saw it. The Kingfisher drops low. It roars over the raft at 50 feet. The pilot dips his wings. The signal, "I see you." Rickenbacker raises his arms. He doesn't cheer. He just holds his hands up to the sky. Surrender. He surrenders to the rescue. The plane circles. It drops a smoke canister to mark the spot. Then it flies off. It can't land. The swells are too high. It has to go get help. But it doesn't matter. They are found. Rickenbacker looks at Bartek. "John," he says, "wake up. The bus is here." Bartek opens his eyes. He smiles. "I knew it," he whispers. Rickenbacker sits back. He feels the adrenaline crash. Now, the pain comes. Every nerve ending wakes up. The thirst returns with a vengeance. But it is a different kind of pain. It is the pain of life returning. He looks at the horizon where the other rafts went. Did the plane see them? Are they alive? Or did his stubbornness save only himself? He waits. Night falls one last time. But this night is not dark, because over the horizon, he sees the lights of a ship, a U.S. Navy PT boat, cutting through the water, coming for him. The ticking clock stops. 24 days. The ordeal is over, but the reckoning is just beginning. November 13, 1942. The rescue is not a graceful event. It is a brawl against physics. The OS-2U Kingfisher, piloted by Lieutenant William Eady, lands on the choppy water. It is a small plane, a two-seater. It cannot hold Rickenbacker and his men inside the cockpit. There is no room. And even if there were, the plane cannot take off. The weight is too great. The drag of the pontoons against the swells is too strong. This is not a flight to safety. It is a taxi ride through hell. Rickenbacker is hauled out of the raft. His legs do not work. The muscles have dissolved. He is a sack of bones held together by wet flight gear. The Navy pilot looks at him. He sees a ghost. Rickenbacker's face is a mask of scabs. His eyes are wild. He smells of rot and dried fish blood. "Captain Rickenbacker?" Eady asks. Rickenbacker nods. He cannot speak. His throat is a desert. They strap him to the wing. Literally. They use rope. They lash his emaciated body to the wing of the float plane. Bartek is strapped to the other side. The pilot guns the engine. The propeller blasts air over them. The plane begins to move. Not up, but forward, bouncing over the waves. 40 miles. They have to taxi 40 miles to the nearest base on Funafuti. Every wave is a hammer blow to Rickenbacker's kidneys. The salt spray stings his open ulcers. But he does not care. He is moving. He is leaving the circle of death. He looks back at the empty raft, the yellow rubber tomb that held him for 24 days. It bobs in the wake, empty. He feels a strange pang of loss. That raft was his world. It was his kingdom. Now it is just trash in the ocean. They arrive at the base at dusk. The medics are waiting. They lift Rickenbacker off the wing. He weighs less than 120 pounds. He has lost nearly 60 pounds of mass. They put him on a stretcher. He tries to stand up. "I can walk," he croaks. He falls immediately. The mind is the ace of aces. The body is a shipwreck. They carry him to the field hospital. The sensation of clean sheets. It is overwhelming. The softness, the dryness. It feels alien. A nurse brings water. Slowly, she warns. He drinks. It is cool. It is sweet. It is the best vintage champagne he has ever tasted. He feels it hit his stomach. He feels it absorb into his blood. He closes his eyes. For the first time in 3 weeks, he sleeps without one eye open. He sleeps without listening for the sharks. The news breaks the next morning. Rickenbacker found. The headlines scream across America. The hero is alive. The legend cheated death again. But inside the hospital tent, there is no celebration. There is only the grim accounting of survival. The other rafts were found. Captain Cherry was picked up by a PT boat. Whitaker and DeAngelis made it to a tiny island. They were found by natives. 7 men survived. 1 died. Sergeant Alex Kocmarczyk. Rickenbacker lies in his bed. He thinks of the boy. He thinks of the moment they slid him into the water. He thinks of the sharks. Survivor's guilt is a luxury Rickenbacker does not allow himself. He is a pragmatist. Alex drank the water. Alex gave up. War is natural selection. The ocean is the ultimate judge. But still, the silence of the boy's absence is louder than the roar of the engines. The investigation begins immediately. The Army Air Forces wants to know, how does a B-17 vanish? How does the most famous pilot in the world get lost? The answer is technical, it is boring, and it is terrifying. It wasn't a mechanical failure, it was a human failure. The octant, the navigation device, was biased. It was out of calibration. But more importantly, the celestial shot was rushed. And the wind, the tailwind, was stronger than reported. They were moving faster than they thought. They overshot the target by 100 miles. It was a math error, simple arithmetic. It almost killed 8 men. It is a reminder that in war, the enemy isn't always a German with a Mauser or a Japanese pilot in a Zero. Sometimes the enemy is a decimal point. Sometimes the enemy is hubris. But the military keeps the details restricted. They don't want the public to know that their navigation is flawed. They want the hero story. They want the miracle of the Pacific. And Rickenbacker gives it to them. But he does something else, something that defines the man. 2 weeks after being rescued, he is still weak. He is still covered in sores. The doctors tell him to go home, to rest, to retire. Rickenbacker shakes his head. I have a mission, he says. I have a message for General MacArthur. He gets out of bed. He puts on a uniform that hangs off his skeletal frame. He gets on another plane, and he flies to New Guinea. He finishes the job. He delivers the message. He inspects the troops. He tells them, if I can survive 24 days on a raft with 4 oranges, you can fight in the jungle. It is brutal, it is callous, and it is exactly what they needed to hear. So, what is the verdict? What is the legacy of those 24 days? It is not about the seagull. The seagull is the story we tell children. It is the Disney version of the horror. The bird didn't save them. The bird was a calorie spike, a momentary reprieve. What saved them was the monster in the boat, Eddie Rickenbacker. He was a tyrant. He was a bully. He was cruel. He mocked them. He shamed them. He forced them to hate him so much that they refused to die just to spite him. He weaponized his own will. He became the external battery for 7 other men whose batteries had died. In the modern world, we talk about trauma. We talk about safe spaces. Rickenbacker came from a world of iron and blood. He understood that when the machine breaks, when the system fails, when the ocean tries to swallow you whole, you have only one resource left, the mind. The refusal to accept reality. The absolute, irrational, stubborn refusal to close your eyes. Years later, Rickenbacker would write about the ordeal. He would talk about the God who sent the bird. But in the restricted archives, in the raw notes of the men who were there, the truth is darker. They didn't pray to Rickenbacker, they feared him, and that fear kept their hearts beating. The B-17 serial number 403089 is still down there, 3 miles deep, resting in the silt of the Central Pacific, a monument to a navigation error. But the men who wrote it down, they walked away. Because one man decided that death was not an option. He was cold. He was tired. He was starving. But he was Eddie Rickenbacker, and the Pacific Ocean never stood a chance. This is the file. The story is declassified. The lesson is eternal. End of transmission.